In today's session, the questions we are going to cover, that is initially and informative topics. What is time management? Why is it is important? How to manage time? And some of the questions related: what are professional skills? What are soft skills? What are the self-improvement techniques? What are self-exploring techniques? Professional ethics, and about what should I focus on until our next meeting and all. And in technically, I got the questions from your end. That is, you need a short session on the looping techniques, nested looping, recursion, nested functions, basics of HTML. And if you have any queries or any uh, like you're expecting latest technical stacks we are needed for improving your IT career and all. So let's take it one by one. Let us firstly focus on the technical topics firstly. Okay, about the first questions was related to the looping. So let me firstly start what exactly looping means. Now, whenever you want to repeat any process for required number of times, repeats a process. Okay, means like any programming block or any programming set of instructions you are writing for processing data, but now this set of block you want to repeat it for required number of times or till the validity of criteria, right? So in that situations, the programming logical techniques what we are using, that is called as looping. Repeatal execution of a process. For this reason, basic three main types of techniques are given, that is while, where you have to write the expression, and till the validity of this expression, means till this expression returns true, it is going to repeat this process that much time, and once this expression returns false, the repeatal execution stops, right? Or the control will come out of this particular loop. Loop word itself gives you an idea of repeatal executions. In case of while loop, it will test the criteria on the top lines and then allow the control inside. This is your looping block number one. In the second block, you have another technique called as do while. Now, this looping block also repeats the process till the validity of expression. The only difference between while and do while checks for the criteria and then allow, and do while process it once and then checks for the validity, and if it is valid, then it will reloop, reprocess. Means if your valid expression validity is invalid, while is not going to perform it once also. But as do while is processing the data at the end of looping process, so at any situation, at even invalid situation also, do while is going to process once. So process and then validate. is a functionality of do while, validate and then process is a functionality of while. And the third basic function like looping technique, and that is called as for. Now for means initialization or the start value, start, stop and step, these three basic components of the for loop. Initialization, termination and the step, right? These all the three steps you have to specify at once in the for loop. In case of counting techniques, or like when you know how many number of times this loop has to iterate or loop has to process. If you want to repeat a process for 10 times, 20 times, means the number of iterations of the process is known to you. That time you can use this for loop. Every loop having its own significance. As I just told you, if you want to repeat a process which is not dependent on the number of iterations but the validity of the expressions, then there are two loops recommended, while and do while. To distinguish between the functionality of while and do while validate the expression firstly and then allow, do while process it and then validate. And in case of for, the start, stop, step or initialization, terminations and the step value, incrementation or decrementations, because looping means what? It's a logical sequence build you for the continuity and series. Means there is a continuous increment 1 to 10, 10 to 1, or continuous decrement, right? So in such situations looping techniques are used, and these are the three major loops we are using. Hope we are able to answer your query. Then the next question is related to the recursion. Right? Now recursion means reoccurrence. Reoccurrence means, like let us say in a structured programming language, the main basic feature is divide your main function into various sub-functions. Main itself is a function. Function means what? It's a process. So in case of structure-oriented programming, you are defining various programming blocks. By default, main have an ability to auto execute, means from the system interrupt, whenever you run the program, main functionality gets a call by default, and from that main you are referring to the various programming blocks called as functions. Means from one function you can refer another function, from one process you can refer another process, and that become an example. If you call from main, if you call a function called as A, from A you refer a function called as B, from B you refer a function called as C, then it is called as a nesting of function. Nesting means calling of a function from another's definition. You are defining main, you are calling A. In the definition of A, you are calling B. In the definition of B, you are calling C. Like that is called as nesting of function. But what will happen It means it is clear that you can refer a function from another's definition. It is clear that every function have a different scope. You cannot define a function inside one function, but you can call a function because every function have its own individual programming block. It means you cannot define a function. Definition of a function should not lies in the definition of another function, but referring or calling of a function is possible. So reoccurrence means if you refer a function from its own definition. For example, if you call a main from main, right? If you call a main from main, then what will happen? By default, the call goes to main, and again you get like that process will repeat. So whenever you are referring a function from its own definition, then it becomes a recursion, reoccurrence. So just we discuss about the looping. What is looping? Repeated execution of a process. And what is recursion? Calling a function from its own definition. Again it repeats the process. Means one can see that recursion develops a logical loop, and your looping blocks like a while, do while and for are the physical loops. Logical loop means I want to repeat a process, but using recursion, if you refer a function from its own definition, if like there is one call and there in the definitions you are calling it again by changing the parameters, or obviously you need to think about where this loop has to be terminated and all, otherwise it will go to the infinite loop. If you just call main from main, what will happen? It will go to the infinity. So recursion means a repeated execution. It's a logical loop rather than physical loop. Hope you understand the difference between logical loop and physical loop. Logical loop means I don't want to repeat it. I mean, there is no do while and for I'm using, but I'm referring a function from its own definition, right? By changing the arguments of the function, then it becomes a recursion, right? So all the problems or the programs which are related to the continuity and series and which you resolve from using a physical loop, right? That all the programs you can resolve by using recursion, reoccurrence, calling of a function from its own definition, referring of a function from its own definitions, and that it become a recursion. Hope you understand it. It is obvious to understand the conceptualization well. You need to develop a code, you need to study the code, you need to practice it by developing a code for it. So you take it any example and try to work it out using like using a physical loop, and then you try to develop a function and set up a logical loop, and in this manner you can practice and expertise about the recursion. The next question was asked about the nested functions. I just had a given example. You can refer a function from another's definition, and it is an example of a nested function. Function means what? Instead of writing every process in a main, you can define a separate block outside the main. It becomes a shortened program to process particular instructions. Maybe that function is for finding the factorial of any number. A function is to check whether the given number is prime or not. A function or a process to generate the Fibonacci series or any other, or to find out the power of any like if a base and radix is given, find out the power of it, and many more. As you already know that the library is categorized in two types. Predefined means which is already defined, process is already defined in the library, you are using it. Every language provides you two things as a library. One is the set of keywords and the predefined functionalities. By using these predefined functionalities and the keywords, you are developing the programming instructions. You are developing a code for processing the data. Now, you are planning to define your own functionalities, own features. Means if you want to process the data, take an input from the user from the calling area and process it and return back. So that is why every function have a return type, every function have a unique name to distinguish it from the library and user defined. It should not, obviously two functions should not have a one name, because every function having its own feature and they have a list of arguments. What do you mean by arguments? The inputs to the function definition. From the calling area means whenever you are referring a process, you have to pass on certain parameters if it is a parameterized function. These parameters means this become the input to a function definition. Function definition will process it and return you the result. This is the basic functionality of any function. But if you refer a function from another definition, it becomes a nested of function. And if you refer a function itself from its own definition, then it becomes a recursion, reoccurrence. As I just discussed, to understand recursion, it is not a basic thing. It's like after basic you can understand. If you understand the concept of functions, nesting of functions, the difference between physical loop and the logical loop, then probably you can understand the recursion. So that all the problems which are you can resolve by setting up the physical loop, you can resolve it by recursion. Recursion having its own advantages. It improves time complexity, less time required, because the every function block will get the memory, and if you refer the one time, it will allocate the memory, and if you repeat it, so probably reallocation of memory not required, and in this manner it executes faster. The process execution time will be lesser. The complex, every algorithm, every programming sequence what you are developing need to be analyzed on the basis of the complexities. time complexity, memory complexity, code complexity. Time complexity means how much time it is taking to execute. So a good developer need to find the techniques which will be optimized in time, which will take lesser time, lesser memory. It should occupy the less memory space. It should be lesser code complexible, easy to understand, easy to edit, update, use. So your code will be analyzed on the basis of this time, memory, and your code complexities. So recursion mainly used for this time complexity and memory complexity enhancements, improvements. It is bit code complexible, but you can have the advantages, right? So after that, there was a question related to the basics of HTML. HTML, we all know, it's a hypertext markup language. To design and develop a web, now need to understand the concept called as web. Web means whenever you want to share the data on the internet, right, then it has to be in the format of HTML. HTML having its own structure, the tags. It's not a programming language, it's a way of presenting the data in the web format. So it provides you the tags HTML. In the angular bracket you write HTML, small, capital, hardly matters. It will not like distinguish, or it will not like case sensitive. So opening tag is in the angular bracket, and the closing block has to be preceded by the /. So HTML head, inside head you have a title, then there is a script, body. These kind of basic elementary tag you have to use to develop the HTML pages, and there are a lot of other things, formatting text. And so tags means what? Start tag, end tag, and inside that whatever text you will write, it will be appear, it will be formatted as per that particular tag. You have to save it by the extension .html, and if your file is .html file, it will be directly published onto the browser. It will directly display onto the browser. So you write the HTML tags, give some heading, give some title, write in the body text, and save it by .html and double click, it will open on the browser. So that is HTML means. HTML provides you the set of tags by which you can share the information, you can develop the web pages required for the web. Now what is web? It's a set of informations you are creating in the virtual directory. Virtual directory means you are storing it into the virtual space, server space. Web designers, developers will produce the number of pages by using HTML. That collections they are storing into the virtual memory space, that is called a server space, and then it will be published through HTTP route, hypertext transmission protocol, hypertext. HTML hypertext, HTTP hypertext transmission protocol means the protocol used for exchanging the hypertext, the text written in the HTML format. Hope you understand this. So related to the technical topic, looping, recursion, nested functions, HTML, that I hope you got the conceptual things right. As I told you, as a developer, if you want to go into the deep of it, you need to take a small examples, work it out, explore it, test it, debug it. This is what the way how you can understand and analyze the things, right? Now the next question was technical discussion for new technical stack. New technical stack means what is current industrial technical stacks required to establish a software career. Let me tell you right now, every investor is looking for the mobile apps. Mobile apps, because like you can just download from the Play Store or the App Store and start working sort of, or start that applications you can start using them. For developing this mobile app, there are two ways to develop it. Native Android, native iOS developers are there, but right now, because to develop the apps using Android or the native, there are two different technical stacks, two different developers they were needed to develop the mobile apps. It's a front end UI part, and then I'll tell you about like how the apps will be developed. So instead of two developers efforts or two separate developing separate applications for the Android and iOS, nowadays a technical stack enhanced, and that is why we are using React Native. React Native, it is not related to the React JS or React. That is, React and React JS are used for the web. React Native is used for the app development. You might be heard about the Flutter. That is also used for developing a cross-platform app development. So if you want to establish a career in the app development, start exploring React Native or Flutter, by which you can able to produce the cross-platform app required for iOS as well as Android. These mobile app developers requires a server-side logic or server-side database need to be shared with the client, and for that reason they require the APIs. API means application programming interface. It's a logic which runs on the server and returns the data after manipulation to the calling area, just like we discussed about the function. We are calling the function having its own definition, it processes the data and returns you. In the similar manner, every API written by using any server-side language will return the data in the JSON format. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JavaScript, you're already aware about. The scripting language used at the clientele side. So these front-end developers, whether it's a web developer or the app developer, if you want to process something on the server, or if you want to process or query something on the server database, he will read the API documentation and integrate these APIs. First of all, it will test the APIs given by the app API developers using the tools of a Postman, and there are various other tools, and check for the responses of this API. By referring to the documentation given, he will call this API and integrate this API. So it's like a function call. So you pass on the parameters. Like take an example. If you develop an interface for login by using app or web. So for logging, user have to use the user credentials like a user ID and the password. So there may be a login API developed by the API developer, which will fetch or which will post this data on the server related to user ID and password. This API will check for the validity on the server and develop the response true or false. If it is true, login success, otherwise login fail. I'm just like trying to give you the basic examples how this entire thing works. So right now, to establish a software career, if you are interested in the app development, you should start exploring as a React Native or the Flutter, right? So you should be able to design the UI screen, at the same time writing the processing logic at the app end, as well as integrating APIs. You may not be a full stack developer to write the APIs and all, but at least you should be able to know the how to design the front end required for the app as well as the web. If you are a web developer, then you should know the React, Angular, and again how to integrate the APIs. And if you are a full stack developer, mean stack, MongoDB, Express.js, Angular, Node.js, and if you are a MERN, means you have to add a React in that. So full stack developer means who can take care of the front end, who can develop a database designs or database structure, as well as able to write the APIs and integrate and consume these APIs. Means like you will be well versed with the front end part as well as the back end and the database as well. This is the definition of a full stack development. So right now, industrial requirements, there are various, because it's all API based now at the server end. So Python, Django, REST API frameworks, Laravel in PHP. Even you can use Java, .NET for developing, but like basically the enhanced frameworks of this will be used for API development, because it should follow the MVC architecture, and in that way you can able to complete your full stack requirements. Hope I able to explain what is the technical requirements for today's commercial applications required. Okay, now let's move to the informative topics like what is time management and why is important and all that. Hey guys, try and understand. To enhance the professional value. Now I'm using a term called as professional value. Professional value means people will bank on you on the basis of the professional skills you are pursuing. Most of the times I discuss with the professionals that companies are not hiring you, they are hiring your skills. So you should able to showcase, or they will rather analyze you on the basis of various skills, and one of the skills is there that is called as punctuality. You should be punctual enough. Now, how you can prove that you are punctual? Obviously, whatever allocated time you are having, you should be able to deliver the solutions, login time, log out time, be on time, to develop or to improve or to showcase the punctuality. Then there is no requirement of any geniusness, or that has nothing to do with the logical skills. Be on time, whatever the time allocated to you, login time, log out time, you need to manage at the same time. If a task is given for that particular time, you need to deliver that on that time, right? Proactive about responses, be active in the forum. We need to understand that only timely deliver solutions will be the solutions. If you have a problem in time estimations, according to you, it may be happen sometimes that if a task is given to you and it is a 4 hours task, 4 hours allocated to you, and if you think that it will be, for you to resolve that, it may require more number of hours, or it is not well estimated, because it's a estimation, and that's why we are saying estimations. But you should be proactive. You should firstly check everything, and then you can say that, okay, no, I believe, okay, your estimation is okay, but like as per my understanding, it may take some more time, and like take the time prior. Okay, I don't think so. No one will hesitate if you, in the start point, if you can ask various queries about the task, if you can extend some of the, if you say that, okay, I may need some more time, always take some buffer time also. First of all, try to work it out, because like, if somebody is giving you the task, doesn't mean that he haven't analyzed and about the timeline, and like haven't analyzed, and he don't have experience to evaluate the time estimation. They are your seniors. They already gone through that. They know how much time, especially the caliber or the experience you are having, you can take to solve that. But if you have any issues, express it there and there only, whenever your the task is allocated to you, right? But it should not happen all the time. And then once you committed with any task and the time estimations, you do it. It improves your professional value, and it gives you the punctuality. Everyone likes the punctual fellows, believe me. Be on time, and like there is no excess time taken. At the same time, okay, as I said, okay, you can leave sharp. You can, like, if you, like, who will be bothered if, like, who will ask you to sit more number of hours? Why people will ask you to sit instead of 8 hours? Why people will ask you to sit for 12 hours? If your task is completed and everything demonstrated on time, you can leave, or nobody will ask you. But if you're not punctual about the estimation, if you're not able to complete and not able to deliver the things on time, obviously that consequences you need to face. So you can't complain on that. That if you want to, like, give some extras, because that extras you had given, or somebody's asked for because of your failure, you're not able to deliver on time. Okay, hope you got me. So punctuality is a main key area. There are a lot of other things are there, but punctuality is also one of the skills. If you need the appreciation, right? You need the appraisals. So obviously punctuality you need to improve. And again I am saying, to improve the punctuality, you don't require any, like, logical, or you don't require any experience or something. Like, anyone can be able to achieve that punctuality. The second question was asked related, what are the professional skills and what are the soft skills? Believe me guys, there is no difference at all. Or we cannot distinguish like this: professional skills and soft skills, communication skills, ability to understand, analyze, be like as I said about the like punctuality, alertness, right? If you say professional things, means obviously it's like in a overall manner. Okay, you should have a leadership qualities. You be a good team member, not to develop any arguments. You can use always the better words to express, voice modulation, the expressions. You devote your proper attentive attentions whenever there is like, you should be firstly the good listener. Whenever the task is explained to you, whenever the user stories will be explained, narrated to you by the team lead or the project manager, you should listen to you. You should be able to ask the questions. You should be having like every possible question need to be asked properly. Most of the time, like as per my experience, even what the questions what we asked, right questions at right time, that also counts. It also give a very positive like things over there. If I am a project manager, and if I'm explaining some user story to my developers, and if they're asking the right questions, why should I bother it? It helps me to elaborate the things more, right? But without studying unrelated questions and extending the time, and at the time of delivery, then why it is not delivered on time, then if a developer is saying I haven't understood the things properly, then obviously it's a wrong attitude. You can't do that, because that when the task is given to you, it doesn't mean that it's a task for you. At the same time, that managers has to submit the task to the clients as well, and on that basis they are going to pay you, pay like it's all it's a commercial application. Obviously it's like it's a finance and economical things are there. So one cannot base on the time. One cannot miss. They take a lot of time. Okay, practically some of like it's all at the time of estimation itself. There is a buffer time also also added over there, but you cannot cross that buffer length or buffer time also. So according to me, professional skills, punctual, better communications, not developed any arguments, leadership qualities, take the responsibilities, right? You should have a good email writing skills, document skills. Nowadays I observed that okay, we because of this social medias, we are not using a proper language to express. We are not used to with writing detailed mails. Lot of spelling errors, right? So the language which you are using in the social media, like a WhatsApp or Facebook or anywhere else, while interacting with the friends, that language is not supposed to be used whenever you are writing the mails. So mail drafting skills, verbal communication skills, ability to listen and right time, right questions to be asked, be attentive, alert, focused, right? These things improves your professional value. The next question is related to the self-improvement techniques, self-exploring techniques. Probably self-improving is about general skills. I always believe if you want to enhance your professional value, you should find out the role model, right? Be in a team, and like unless and until we introspect ourselves, and like what need to be improved. If I say I'm good at that, I don't want to improve, so you will not improve, right? So throughout the professional life, you may interact, you may find a person, okay, who will impress you while communications, who will impress you by the punctuality, will impress you by the way he carries the professionally himself or herself. Try to adopt it. What are the best things are there? Try to adopt it. Try to be like that, attentive, alert, focused. It's a continuous process. These are all the skills you will not get by default or like by birth. You need to practice for it, right? So in the similar manner, you as a self-experiment techniques means everything cannot like you cannot give the impression that everything is available on the Google as a developer. You can whatever the type the questions, copy the code and submit it sort of. No, no. You have to develop your own way of writing the code. You can take the references. What is Google means or what is it's like just like uh, you are reading the books, understanding, and then you're writing in the similar manner. Now that these can be used as a references, right? And who will bother for that if you are using the references? No, because we or everyone requires some outcome, the better coding standards. I understand that you whatever code you are writing, one has to review it also. Because you are not the only one who is who is going to write the complete solution of the project. You may be one of the team member. So everyone have to follow the same coding standards, right? The code which you are written need to be understood by someone, and maybe he can able to update it also. So these all things plays a very vital role. Adopt a good coding practice, right? So these all the references what you are using that are used for the references, but try to build your own way of developing and don't compromise with the highest coding standards. Or this is what written about self-experiment techniques. What should I do? What should I pursue to achieve the best? Right? So it's a continuous process. Every day, every week, you need to set the targets for yourself and try to practice it up. So that it can, unless and until you practice, unless and until you work it out for it, you not get the better results. So you should have a attitude of adaptability. Change, continuous change. Yes, you can change it. It takes time, right? But believe me one thing, whatever the skills you are right now, it comes because of you had taken the efforts prior. So if you take the if you serious enough, and if you yourself think that in a process that okay, or you think that okay, I need to improve these skills, this is the area where I'm lacking, my voice modulation is not better, my analysis is not better, I'm not able to write the good mails. Because if you read somebody's mails, okay, you will think that oh, it's like the way of narrating, it's very appropriate, use of proper words, no spelling errors. If you read it, everything means like in that way you will get impressed by someone. Try to follow them, try to replicate it, try to practice it, right? Best among all, best in punctuality, best in logical, best in everything, okay, that enhance your professional value, that enhance the people will more people will invest on you. As I said, okay, they are not hiring you, they are hiring your skills. So if you have more skills, more opportunities you will get. more professional value it will be. Professional value means your salary, right? Everybody expects that one should get the better salary. But what is how much? And like okay, we can say anything else, but like actually that investor also need to think on whether it's worth to invest that much salary on you. And for that reasons, they will evaluate the professional skills, and they should get the faith. Yes, if I invested, it's a worth sort of. Then you'll also get benefits by the monetary gains. Hope you got me. Professional ethics is simple, no arguments. Understand what is professional means. Always not to think about single point of view, my point of view. I'm getting troubles, but everybody is getting. Means one has to understand the pain of others also, right? We always develop a like rivalry with the bosses. We always think that okay, they are enjoying their life and they are putting us in danger, or like they are always altering us sort of. It's not like that. They are performing their own duties. They are performing what they are responsible for. So we need to understand our responsibilities as well. And who will be create a hurdle for you because you opted and you hired uh, for particular duties and the responsibilities. And if you are best at that, I don't think so. Anyone unnecessary will create a problem for you. Not to argue on any issues. No word exchange. It should not argument like everything. Every discussions need to be another. Try to. I'm saying it's a human. Okay, the things are here and there, but if everything is calmly done, no arguments, professionally done properly, and if you did some mistakes, accept it, apologize for it, promise not to do. No, you'll take care of this sort of. It creates a very good like vibes in the like at a time of working environment. Saying sorry, thank you, okay, and then developing a faith. These things, professional ethics means what? Ethics, whenever you are saying ethics is like a culture, right? So not to talk about someone in the back, or not to like okay, not to develop any conspiracy, or not to discuss like the salaries with others, and like which can create it's a human psychology, right? You want to know somebody's salary, you want to discuss the salaries, you want to how he gets and how much. So ultimately, believe me, it's between some two individuals, but it spreads everywhere else, and then it reduces, and everybody come to know that what kind of they'll make a like impressions of your persona, that kind of individual you are, right? You will come to know that. And rather, why everyone's like why there is the need of discussions professionally, what to do. Okay, first of all, you make a table, do's and don'ts sort of, does and don't. So like what you can do and what you can't do. Okay, don't do it if you think this is not ethical, right? And always everyone prefers a ethical fellow, cultural fellow. It means whenever uh, a persona of that individual will be built by its personal culture and the professional culture. And we talk about the professional culture. So one should carry it there. Okay, he's a good man. He's a good person. He respects, right? Never argues. Understand the problems. Understand the responsibilities. deliver it on time, good team member, good leader, good attitude towards work. He respects everyone in the team, never raise the voices, never abuses someone. These all things are there. So I believe, okay, these all comes under the category of professional ethics. So what should I focus on the next? It's very easy. Okay, you do one thing, whatever things we discussed today, try to improve it. Okay. One should make a list of, okay, these are the areas I should be focusing on and I should be practicing on, right? And whenever I'll get an opportunity, I'll express. I will try. Okay, if because introspection is more important, which gives you the idea where you are lacking. Work on these lacking areas, and whenever you get an opportunity, obviously, if you practice, that is different thing. But whenever it's matter comes of the applications, okay, whenever you get the forum to express, you try to apply it. Try to do the simple exercise. Keep on working in such a way that one should come to you and tell or appreciate in front of you. It's good. Better. You are improving. So that appraisals will boost you. Now work it on that. Just like the way we expect that, okay, somebody will come to us and say you are looking nice today. Right? So in the similar manner, whenever you get an opportunity, try to impress the stakeholders. Practice it for that, so that they will say, okay, perfect, this is nice. And that boosts you. That boosts your confidence. Right? So this is all the things what you can improve with them. I hope all the topics which I had given to me for today's discussions is clear to you. You work it on these all the areas, and these all discussions will help you out to enhance your professional skills and ethics, as well as you can able to establish your good software career ahead. So if you don't have any questions, I'll wind up these sessions. Thank you very much.